Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time we are going to be taking a look at atomic habits,
Oh, yeah.
which I know is super popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd dive in and see, what it's all about.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why this one's really resonated with people, you know?
Yeah,
It's not, just a bunch of quick tips or anything like that. There's
right.
a lot of really good science in there
Hmm.
about how habits actually work and, why they stick.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things I think is how it connects habits to our sense of self.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like,
So it's not just like remembering to floss or something. It's
right.
like deeper than that.
It is.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who we are as people.
Yeah, it's like every time you do something,
Hmm.
you're kind of like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be.
Okay.
So like if you're trying to be a writer, every time you sit down and write,
Okay.
you're casting a vote for a writer,
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
for your identity.
And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, right? Is like
Oh, yeah.
they'll try to build these habits, they'll try to make these changes,
Mm-hmm.
and then they kind of hit this wall
Right.
where they're just not seeing the results they're putting in the work,
Right.
but they're not getting anywhere. And the book talks about this too, right?
It does, yeah.
It's like the plateau of latent potential or something.
Yeah, the plateau of latent
I
potential.
love that.
It's a great way to put it, and I think a really helpful way to think about it
Mm.
is like planting a seed.
Okay.
You can water it, you can give it sunlight,
Yeah.
but for days or weeks, you might not see anything happening above the surface.
Right.
But underneath, things are changing, growing,
Mm.
getting ready to sprout.
Yeah.
And it's the same with habits. Those
Mm.
early efforts, even if you're not seeing the results yet,
Right.
they're building the foundation.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good reminder to kind of like trust the process and not get discouraged if we don't see like
Right.
overnight success or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then how do we actually like cultivate those habits? How do
Mhm.
we nurture those seeds so they can like blossom?
Well, the book gives us this great framework
Okay.
called the 4 Laws of Behavior Change, which
Okay.
is basically like a gardener's guide
Okay.
to growing good habits
Right.
and weeding out the bad ones.
So let's hear what's the first law?
Okay, the first law is make it obvious.
Make it obvious.
Yeah, so we need to bring those unconscious habits into the light
Hmm.
and create clear cues for the new behaviors we want to adopt.
So instead of just being like, oh, I want to eat healthier,
Right.
we need to be specific about it.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
We can use what are called implementation intentions.
Implementation
Yeah,
intentions.
which is basically stating, I will me behavior at time and location.
Okay.
So for example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 5 minutes in the living room.
Just a little.
Something like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think it helps because it removes the guesswork
Yeah.
and makes it harder to skip.
Right. And I think it's also like, I know I'm much more likely to meditate if I have like my cushion set out
Exactly.
and ready to go.
Yeah, you're designing your environment
Yep.
for success.
Mm.
The book talks a lot about the power of our surroundings
Yeah,
to influence our behavior.
for sure.
I mean, think about all those tempting cues that can trigger bad habits,
Oh, yeah.
like the bag of chips on the counter or the social media app right on your home screen.
Hmm. That's a big one.
Right.
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Right.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
By making those tempting cues less prominent,
Mm.
we make it easier to resist them.
Okay.
And the opposite is true too.
Yeah.
By making the cues for good habits obvious and accessible,
Right.
we're more likely to follow through.
So the first law is all about like awareness
Mm-hmm.
and intentionality.
Yeah. Setting yourself up for success.
Okay. So what about the second law?
Yeah.
How do we make those good habits stickier?
The second law is make it attractive.
Okay.
So this is where we tap into our motivations and make those desired habits more appealing.
Okay. So how do you make like broccoli as tempting as a bowl of ice cream?
Well, maybe not that tempting,
Yep.
but there are definitely ways to boost the allure of any habit.
All right.
One technique is what's called temptation bundling,
Okay.
where you pair something you want to do
Mm-hmm.
with something you need to do.
Okay.
So, for example, listening to your favorite podcast while you work out.
Okay. So you're basically like tricking yourself
Yeah, correct.
into doing the thing you need to do
Right.
by pairing it with something you enjoy.
Exactly.
I can get behind that.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's like, even with a good podcast,
Yeah.
it's like those healthy habits just feel so much harder
Yeah.
than just like hitting the snooze button or
Right.
whatever.
Well, that's where the third law comes in.
Okay.
Make it easy.
Make it easy.
Yeah, because remember, our brains are wired for
Mm.
instant gratification.
For sure.
So we need strategies to bridge the gap
Okay.
between what we want in the long run
Mhm.
and what feels good right now.
So we got to like outsmart our own brains.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
And one way to do that is to reduce friction.
Friction.
Yeah, those little obstacles that make it easier to skip a good habit than to do it.
Okay.
So if you want to cook more at home, pre-chop your veggies on Sunday.
Go.
If you want to start a morning meditation practice, lay out your cushion the night before.
Yeah, these are good.
Yeah, just little things like that.
These are practical.
Yeah.
That's what I like about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I imagine there are some times where
Yeah.
even those small steps feel like too much.
Of course.
What do we do then?
Well, that's where the fourth law comes in.
Okay.
Make it satisfying.
Make it satisfying.
Yeah, this is all about rewarding ourselves for sticking with our habits and making them enjoyable to repeat.
So we can bring back that like instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
but like use it to our advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The book talks about the power of a habit tracker.
Okay.
You know, where you just like mark off each day
Yeah.
that you complete the habit.
I love a habit tracker.
Yeah.
I'm like a big checklist person.
It's a really powerful tool.
Yeah, it feels good to like check things off.
Yeah, and it gives you that little hit of satisfaction.
Yeah,
But here's the key. It's not about just blindly checking boxes.
right.
It's about connecting with the deeper why.
Okay.
Why is this habit important to you?
Hmm.
What are you hoping to achieve?
So it's not just building habits, it's like building a life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this whole journey so fascinating. We're not just changing our actions, we're shaping our lives.
This has been so insightful.
Good.
I feel like I'm already starting to see habits in a whole new light.
Yeah.
It's not just about like willpower or discipline. It's about like strategy and understanding how our minds work.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And we've only just scratched the surface of atomic habits.
I know there's so much more to explore.
There is, yeah.
I'm excited.
One of the things I really liked about the next section is like how it challenges the traditional view of willpower.
Okay.
You know, it's not about like gritting our teeth and white knuckling our way to good habits.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I think so many of us, like we hit a roadblock, we slip up, and it's like, I just don't have enough willpower.
Right.
And it's like so discouraging.
It is, yeah. And I think it's almost setting ourselves up for failure
Yeah.
because it's not about being more disciplined. It's about creating a more disciplined environment.
Okay.
Our surroundings are constantly influencing our behavior,
Right.
often without us even realizing it.
It's like how they put the candy bars right at the checkout aisle in the grocery store.
Exactly.
Like, you know you're already there, you're waiting in line.
Right.
You're going to grab one.
You're more likely to.
Or like social media.
Oh, yeah.
They're designed to just keep us scrolling forever.
All those notifications and the infinite scroll and all that.
Yeah, the algorithms.
Yeah, they're sneaky.
Yeah.
But the good news is we don't have to be victims of our environment.
Okay.
We can be the architects of it.
Okay, I like that.
Right.
So how do we do that?
Well, for starters, we can minimize those tempting cues.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, if you're trying to cut back on sugar, don't keep a candy jar on your desk.
Okay.
If you're trying to focus on work, silence those distracting notifications.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. It's about making those bad habits less convenient, less visible, less appealing.
Okay, so like hide the cookies on the top shelf where I have to get a stepladder to get to them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And on the flip side, we want to make those good habits as convenient as possible.
Okay.
The book talks about reducing friction.
Friction.
Yeah, those little obstacles that make it easier to skip a good habit than to do it. So if you want to start a daily journaling habit, keep your journal and a pen right on your bedside table.
Okay, yes, so you don't have to go searching for it
Right, exactly.
when you're half asleep.
Exactly. By preparing your environment in advance, you're removing those mental barriers
Okay.
that can prevent you from following through.
So like laying out my workout clothes the night before
Mm-hmm.
or prepping healthy snacks for the week.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
Yeah, little things like that can make a big difference.
Yeah. It's like all those little things you hear, but it's nice to have them all together.
Yeah, and to understand the why behind them.
Right.
I think that's what's so powerful about this book.
So what about like those bad habits that are already like so ingrained?
Okay.
Like it feels like they're like hardwired into my DNA.
Yeah, well, in those cases, we can use the opposite strategy.
Okay.
Increase the friction.
Okay.
Make those bad habits more difficult, less convenient, less appealing.
So like if I'm trying to like curb my social media addiction.
Mm.
I could like log out of all the apps on my phone.
Yeah,
So I actually have to like type in my password every time.
exactly. You're
Yeah.
making it less automatic,
Okay.
less
So I have
mindful.
to think about it.
Right.
Like, do I really want to do this?
Exactly.
Uh,
Or if you're spending too much money online, you could remove your credit card information
Oh, that's a good one.
from those shopping websites.
Yeah.
Make it harder to indulge those impulses.
Yeah, because then you have to go find your wallet,
Right.
and then you have to like type it all in.
By that time, maybe you've talked yourself out of it.
Yeah, maybe the feeling's passed.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm seeing how this whole like design your environment thing
Mm-hmm.
is like so much more effective than just like willpower.
It is, yeah. It's not about being a superhero.
Yeah.
It's about setting up your surroundings to support you.
Right.
And the book takes this concept even further
Oh, yeah.
with the idea of automation.
Ooh, automation. I like that word.
Yeah, using technology or systems to make those good habits automatic.
Like setting up automatic bill payments.
Mhm.
So I never miss a deadline.
Exact.
Or like using a meal planning app.
Yes.
So you don't have to think about what you're going to eat every day.
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal assistant working behind the scenes
Yeah.
to make your life easier and keep you on track.
Okay, so what about like automating out the bad habits?
Okay, yeah. So for that, the book suggests making one-time investments
Okay.
that lock in better behavior.
Okay.
So for example, like noise-canceling headphones
Yeah.
to create a distraction-free work zone,
I love that.
or buying a high-quality water bottle
Okay.
to encourage you to stay hydrated throughout the day.
So it's like setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a gift to your future self.
Yeah, I like that.
And speaking of the long run,
Okay.
Atomic Habits
Mm.
also emphasizes the importance of feedback.
Feedback.
Yeah. We need to track our progress and reflect on our experiences.
So it's not enough to just do the habit.
You have to pay attention to how it's affecting you.
Yeah.
And what's working and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Remember that habit tracker we talked about?
Yeah.
It's not just about checking boxes.
Okay.
It's about gathering data.
Okay.
It's like being a scientist,
I like that.
conducting experiments on your own behavior. What's
Yeah.
working, what's not?
Okay.
What can you tweak?
So you can kind of adjust as you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, we're not striving for perfection.
Mm-hmm.
We're aiming for progress.
Progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's a journey.
This has made me realize that habits aren't just these individual actions.
Right.
They're part of a larger system.
They are. Yeah.
It's our environment, our routines, our mindset,
Mm-hmm.
all working together.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
You know, Atomic Habits highlights how our habits are woven into the fabric of our lives.
Mm.
They shape our identity, our values, even our sense of belonging. So it's not just about building habits. It's about building a life.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And as we delve further into Atomic Habits,
Okay.
we'll discover even more strategies for harnessing the power of tiny changes to create the life we want.
As we're wrapping up this deep dive into Atomic Habits, I'm really struck by how it encourages us to
Yeah.
think about habits in terms of our big picture goals.
Right.
You know, it's not just about checking things off a to-do list.
Right.
It's about aligning our daily actions with who we want to be.
It's like composing a life symphony.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So each habit is like
Each habit's like a note.
a little note.
Yeah, carefully chosen note.
That contributes to the harmony.
They're the overall harmony, yeah,
I love that.
of the symphony of your life.
So if I want to be a writer,
Okay.
it's not enough to just daydream about it.
Right.
I have to actually
Right.
sit down and write
You have to do the work.
consistently.
Yeah, put in the reps.
Yeah. And each time I do that, I'm reinforcing that identity.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm the kind of person who writes.
You're proving it to yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so what about when motivation wanes?
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
How do we keep those good habits going
Right.
when the initial excitement kind of fades away?
Well, the book suggests finding ways to make those habits intrinsically rewarding.
Okay.
So it's not about relying on external rewards
Mhm.
like treats or praise.
Okay.
It's about finding joy in the process itself.
Okay, so instead of focusing on how much I hate running,
Right.
I can focus on how good I feel after.
Yeah, exactly.
I can shift my perspective.
Reframe it.
Yeah.
Highlight the benefits, not the drawbacks.
And I think that's something the book does really well. It kind of reminds us that even
Right.
the most successful people,
Yeah,
still struggle with,
of
like,
course.
boredom and frustration and setbacks.
Everyone
So it's
does.
not about being superhuman.
Right.
It's about showing up consistently,
Exactly. Consistency is key,
even when we don't feel like it.
even when you don't feel like it.
Okay.
The book makes a distinction between professionals and amateurs.
Yeah, okay.
Professionals stick to their schedule,
Mm,
even when motivation dips.
okay.
Amateurs let life get in the way.
So it's like the marathon runner
Yeah.
who trains rain or shine
Right.
versus the person who only runs when they feel like it.
Exactly. One is building a habit.
Okay.
The other is chasing a feeling.
I like that.
And the book actually shares this really cool example
Right.
of this professional mindset in action.
Okay.
It talks about how the LA Lakers used a system called the Career Best Effort Program.
Career best effort.
Yeah, CBE.
Okay.
And basically it involved meticulously tracking their performance during practice.
Okay.
So shots made, assists, rebounds, turnovers, you name it.
So it's like what gets measured gets managed.
Exactly.
Cool.
They were really data-driven, and this
Yeah.
allowed them to objectively see their progress and hold themselves accountable to a high standard.
So even elite athletes
Right.
benefit from like a structured approach.
They do, yeah, to
Okay.
habit formation.
So it's not just for us regular folks.
It's for everyone.
Yeah.
And Atomic Habits provides this framework that anyone can apply,
Okay.
no matter your goals or skill level.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's like the one key takeaway
Okay.
you want our listeners to remember?
I would say small changes consistently applied can lead to remarkable results.
I love that.
It's not about overnight transformations.
Right.
It's about embracing the power of tiny habits.
Tiny habits
Yeah.
to shape our life.
Over time.
I love that it's a message of hope
Mhm.
and empowerment.
Yeah, we all have that power
Yeah.
to make those changes.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks.
Mhm.
A deep dive into the world of atomic habits.
Hope you enjoyed it.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired
Yeah, me too.
to like build some better habits and really shape my life.
One small step at a time.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.